We're joined by Dustin Fox now. Ohio State with a huge win over Eastern Michigan yesterday. Terrell Pryor with 6 touchdowns. Your thoughts on what Terrell did and how much the nation is looking at him now as maybe one of the leaders for the Heisman Trophy?
Yeah, I think he definitely stepped his game up as far as being a legitimate Heisman Trophy candidate. 6 touchdown passes, 4 rushing, even caught a touchdown pass from his former teammate, Jordan Hall. I think he came out and did what a lot of people wanted to see him do. Trust sort of allowed him to open up the playbook, and he played great.
Why is Terrell Pryor a better quarterback today than he was even maybe against winning the Rose Bowl last year?
Well, I think he dedicated himself in the offseason. I think he sort of got rid of a lot of the distractions in his life. I think he listened to Coach Tressel, Nick Siciliano, the quarterback's coach. He took a lot of, like I said, the distractions out of his life and focused in and allowed himself to become a better leader, a better football player, working extra hard in the weight room, in the classroom, and all of that's paying off on the football field.
All right, let's talk about what you can get out of yesterday's game against Eastern Michigan. What do you get out of it? I mean, on paper, you can look at the stats and say, well, a lot of guys made tackles. Maybe a couple new faces caught the ball, and maybe a couple other guys ran the ball.
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is we got out of that game injury-free. We got a win. Not a lot of guys got hurt, like I said. And then the biggest thing, you got some young players, some reps. You got Bauserman in there. Bauserman got his first career touchdown pass. You got Jordan Hall some carries. You got Jamal Berry some carries. And defensively, you got a lot of guys in there who were young and got some playing experience in the shoe, which is an intimidating environment for a young player.
Are you concerned that Eastern Michigan was able to move the ball against the first-team defense?
Concerned a little bit. It's Eastern Michigan. I credit a little bit of that, the fact that maybe the guys weren't as hyped up as they'll be against Illinois, against Wisconsin, Iowa, teams like that. But it is concerning because the way they beat us through the air. The rushing game was held to 40 yards, which obviously our defensive line is stout. Cameron Hayward, Larimore, those guys are unbelievable up front. But our secondary gave up some yards, and I think that that's a lack of experience. I think that's a lack of guys who are, like I said, experienced. Our secondary is banged up right now. Checkle went out, and we had brought a freshman corner in who gave up a touchdown pass.
You head into Big Ten play on Saturday. Is it the mentality in Columbus when you're playing for Jim Tressel? Is it a second season now? Is it a fresh start? Or is it just let's keep going doing what we do? Does he break it down to non-conference, conference, bowl? Is that the way it works or no?
That's the way it always was when I was there. We talked about when the Big Ten season started. We even got T-shirts when the Big Ten season started, and we had all the games listed on the back of a shirt. And it's definitely more important now as opposed to the preseason. We got through the preseason, I would call it the 4-0, which is great, but now the season starts Illinois next week. Illinois has had a week off to prepare. Ron Zook's on the hot seat. It's concerning. I mean, I think Illinois is going to come out and give us their best shot.
What, from a standpoint of playing against a Big Ten team that you might see every year, year after year, how does that change when you hit the field? Because it is a Big Ten game, and they know, hey, we got a chance to spoil Ohio State's season. Or it works the other way sometimes, too.
Yeah, I think especially, like you said, Illinois is going to come out and try to spoil our season. Every team we played in 2002 gave us their best shot. Every single week, week in and week out, they gave us their best shot. Even Cincinnati was giving us their best shot. San Diego State was giving us their best shot. Even Illinois went to double overtime with them back then, and they weren't a very good team. So I think everybody is going to come after us, and we got to be ready.
How do you avoid, and Jim Tressel's been great at this, but avoiding the hype? And I know they've talked about it since the beginning, but you do need to avoid the hype to get to the national championship game.
You do. You got to stay off the computers, out of the newspapers. You just got to stick to the game plan. Get in, watch some extra film, listen to the coach's game plan, and just go after every game and just take it one game at a time, because you start marching through these Big Ten games and all of a sudden you're at Michigan and you're undefeated and you got a shot to play for the national title.
Are you surprised, especially yesterday, Ohio State was able to throw a halfback pass in for a touchdown back to Terrell Pryor? Were you surprised that Jim Tressel brought that out of the playbook, or I mean, you're constantly working on plays for Michigan down the end of the road, true?
I was a little bit shocked that he brought that out this early. I think the main reason he brought it out is he wanted to just get that extra touchdown on the board at that point in time in the game, and he thought it was a good call. And going into the Big Ten week, like I said, Illinois has got an extra week to prepare. Give them something else to have to prepare for. Give them that extra wrinkle. Not that they can't use something like that again, but I thought it was a good call, and it was very un-Tressel characteristic.
Well, putting that many points on the board, too, was un-Tressel characteristic. Okay, so now you're Ohio State, and you're feeling good. You're top-ranked, second team in the country. You've just gone through your non-conference schedule. Here you are. You're ready to enter the Big Ten. What now? How do you buckle down and just do it?
you just got to focus in. I mean, the Big Ten schedule is not going to get any easier. I mean, they open up with Illinois, who's got an extra week to prepare. Then Indiana comes to town, and then the big game, October 16th against Wisconsin. That's going to be a big test. And then they also got to go on the road to Iowa. It's not going to get any easier. They're just going to have to take it one game at a time and really just focus in. If they do that, they've got the tools, they've got the players, they've got the talent in place to really make a run at this thing.
All right. You say that now as an analyst.
Yeah.
You probably did it as a fan before you played at Ohio State. But when you're right in the middle of it,
Yeah.
and you know in your heart of hearts you've got to look at this one game at a time, how hard is that?
It's extremely hard.
I mean, because the media is going crazy in Columbus. It's crazy up here.
It's crazy. It's in your face. It's all you hear about is, you know, you're number one, you're number 2 in the country. You know, you're going to play Alabama, and then you got to play Illinois this week. You got to focus in and play on Saturday. You can't focus ahead to the Fiesta Bowl, to the national championship, to play in Alabama. You got to focus in every single game, because we all know. I mean, we can go down just as easily as anybody else. You saw Alabama on Saturday, and they definitely almost blew it to Arkansas.
All right, Dustin Fox, thanks for watching here on Newsnet 5. And again, we'll get you set all throughout the week as Ohio State gets set to open up the Big Ten season on Saturday at Illinois. First road game of the season, too.
Right.
I mean,
only 4 this year, though, which is fortunate. Yeah.
All right, they'll take the show on the road, and so will we. Thanks for logging on to Newsnet 5.